So, Rick, we had a mission statement before you arrived that we lived with a long time. There is some affection for that mission statement.
Understandably so,
Love
yeah.
God, serve people. And this individual says if you polled Autumn Ridgers about the previous statement, they would know that, and they love that simplicity.
Yeah, there's something elegant about simplicity. I love that people have a deep affection for that. Some weeks ago, John Steer and I sat down together on his back deck after taking a long walk, and we were enjoying a good lunch put together by Gretchen. And we were just talking about the history of Autumn Ridges and First B's mission statements over the years. And one of the things I was really kind of surprised to hear about how it's changed over the years. And he was just like, it's right, it's time, it's the perfect time. There's new leadership, we should go. But it's not just because of new leadership. And I appreciate the friendship and the endorsement of John Steer. But it's not just that. Actually, that's kind of a small feature. And it's this. It's about clarity. Our mission, vision, and value statements and our statement of faith should clarify all the macro and micro decisions, all the big and small decisions that we make. And the question is, love God and serve people, does it clarify sufficiently what we're trying to do? In light of our vision statement, in light of our value statements, I was seriously considering, let's don't tweak the mission statement. So many people love it. It's a part of how people think about this church. There's another church in town that has basically the identical one that's on a billboard, and there's some differentiation that we're trying to wrestle with. Is that a factor? But I was prepared to leave it there. But what came up in the conversation was we need clarity on why it is that we exist. Because when we're trying to be a church that attracts and pulls in and connects with and reaches and goes out to skeptical, curious, hurting people, and as we're talking about all these other things, we need to be clear that the reason we exist is discipleship. And we didn't use that word, but it's the definition. And it's my understanding that before I got here, people were talking about makers of disciple makers, and that's been grafted into the DNA of our church. With all due respect, and with as gently as I can state it, love God and serve people while good. Can't say anything negative about it. While good, doesn't have a fine tip on it, a laser focus on this is why we're about. This is what we're about. And what I'm going to say next would not be a descriptor of Autumn Ridge, but you could just say, hey, we're content not reaching any more people, but we're going to do fish fries, and we're going to give water away at the park, and we're just going to have a clothing ministry, and we're going to have a food bank, and we're going to love God, and we're going to serve people. You could do that and not be committed to making disciples. And you would be honoring that statement as it's written. And some people might wrestle through that. Well, to love God means you got to do this kind of thing. And I would say, yeah, I agree with you. And so let's say it clearly, and so it's quickly understood, and it's easier for people to rally around. And so that's really the major reason that we went with this is why we exist, to lead people to be fully devoted followers of Jesus. If you are a devoted follower of Jesus, you will be committed to loving God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loving your neighbor as yourself. You will live under the law of Christ to love each other the way that we've been loved by him, and you won't be the definer of what that means. You will allow him through his word to set the boundary markers for that. And then you will live a life of thriving as intended and defined by Christ, specifically in the whole counsel of God's word.
Fantastic.